under African sky.
The Bushveld, the Lowveld, is about more than animals. There are a lot of people living there, and that's what I want to talk about now. There we were, content as Skukuza in our caravan with our private bit of shady Bushveld, at the remarkable price of 350 Rand a day for the two of us. Now, we had to pay a price for that. We had to do the work of setting up our camp on a bare piece of ground. We had to fetch and carry water. We had to walk to the ablutions. And so sometimes one got a little bit envious of people staying in rondavels. But even the cheapest one like this was 2,000 Rand a night, and we just couldn't stay there for 3.5 weeks at that price. And then at Skukuza, on the old railway bridge, they brought in a luxury train. It acts as a hotel. And we thought, wouldn't it be great to stay there for a few nights? So we made inquiries. 32,000 Rand a night for two. And I realized there are two worlds. There's my world, and then there's the world of the really rich. A lot of them, I suppose, would be overseas visitors. But of course, there's another world. And whenever we went out of Kruger, I took trouble to notice how people were trying to make a living. This fellow's got a car wash going. Rather amusingly, I noticed he offers no credit. But he's got a vacuum cleaner, a source of electricity, and obviously a source of water, and I think he's running a pretty viable little business. This woman in her lean-to shack with the roof held on by rocks is making food for passers-by. But I notice she has got a gas cylinder, and she's probably making a go of it. Look how she's looking at me. I wonder what she's thinking. And then this woman sitting out in the open with no shelter, selling a few oranges, and I wondered to myself, how on earth is she going to make ends meet? And so we went back to our campsite at Skukuza, remembering what Paul said, be content, whatever circumstances you're in. And so we set out to be content in our campsites, this one under the lovely tall mapani trees, and our campsite at Letaba right on the fence. No rondar will get you as close to animals as that. And we made friends with the locals, this elephant not 3 meters from our tent. We went there to do game viewing. I think he's come quite really to do people viewing. And so we were content at Letaba, but not so much at Satara, because Wendy collected a tick on her ankle. By the time we got to Marula near the open gate, she was running a fever. And on top of that, she had a knee replacement that hadn't settled down yet. And she burst into tears saying, I want to go home. And I knew that unless we got control of that fever quickly, we could be in serious trouble. So I Googled the nearest town, Acornhoek, and there I found a medical center and spoke to a very nice man who said, yes, come in, we can help you. So off we went. Acornhoek is in the Bushbuck Ridge area. It was very nice to see this beautiful stainless steel statue of a bushbuck, I suppose cut out with lasers. Acornhoek is like many country towns in South Africa. It has a first world shopping centre, but the surrounding areas not so much. And Google took me way past the shopping centre into areas I wasn't that comfortable in. And then it told me to go down this dirt road. It looked a little bit dodgy to me. It had no name on it. And I said, I'm sure Google's got it wrong. So we went back to the shopping center and started filling up with diesel. And I was talking to the man on the phone again. And this very cheerful petrol attendant overheard my conversation. And she said, I know how to get there. And she gave us excellent directions. And she said as we left, and if you can't find it, just ask anyone. Everyone knows where it is. And so back we went, and we came to exactly the same road. And I asked a couple of people, and they very cheerfully pointed us down the road and said, it's down there. And there it was, a very neat, attractive little rural clinic. And inside, beautifully kept, and a number of interesting pictures inside there that were, to my mind, encouraging people to be content in their circumstances, even if it's only a bicycle and a simple house. And there were photographs there encouraging people to healthy family living. This one, I think, to encourage people to embrace fatherhood. And a very nice young doctor attended to Wendy. And then the man I'd spoken to on the phone dispensed the pills to us out of his great big bottle, and the course of antibiotics cost us 4 Rand. He had an enormous smile, was an enormous man, about 6'4" and about 3 foot wide. And so we left Acornhoek not just with a full tank of diesel and not just with a handful of pills. I left with a sense of admiration for people who I think have life much more difficult than me, but who seem to have a well of cheerfulness within them, very willing to smile, very willing to help, and doing the best with the circumstances they had. And in the case of the clinic, making a real difference to the community around them. And I thought of these people like a grey sparrow, perhaps not top of the pecking list. But when the beautiful but aggressive village weaver chases him away, he just goes and sits in a tree and waits and hopes for his turn. Perhaps he's also heard the word of God, be content, whatever your circumstances. And he sits and waits, and though he has real reason to be grumpy, he sings.